Hello everyone, my name is Evie Lupine. Welcome back to my channel, and today I have another video for you all. Today we are going to be doing a product review. You may have seen this coming if you watched my previous video, which was a 101 all about handcuffs. And today what we're going to be doing is reviewing some handcuff covers from Discerning Specialist. But before I get into the product review, I just want to do a couple of disclaimers so everybody understands where the information in this video is coming from. So Discerning Specialist did reach out to me. They did ask if I would be interested in reviewing some of their products, and I am not being paid to say anything in this video. I am not being compensated for my time other than being sent the items in order to make this video. That is the only thing that's happening here. There's no affiliate codes, no affiliate links. Nothing like that is going on. It's just my own honest opinion, my own honest thoughts about these products. So hopefully you guys can understand that. I know that not a lot of influencers these days are actually upfront about when things are advertisements and when they're not, and it's a very confusing world to be in. So I want to make sure that I'm being transparent with you guys. Along with that, I want to make sure everybody is aware, I've actually been a fan of Discerning Specialist for a long time. Back when Tumblr was still a thing, I followed Kitty Denied, who is one of their main models, who is in a lot of their product photos, and I still follow them on Instagram. They have been on my favorite list on Etsy for forever, so this was actually a little bit of a lucky happenstance. I was thinking about ordering from them anyway, and then I got this wonderful email in my inbox wondering if I would be interested in looking at some of their products. So that is just everything that I think you guys want to know about my relationship to this brand ahead of time, and I want to talk about actual Discerning Specialist itself. So Discerning Specialist is a brand that is based out of Portland, Oregon. They have an Etsy shop as well as a website where they review other products too, if you want to check that out. And they are a small time by BDSM people for BDSM people shop. And that's what I really appreciate about this. I am so tired of seeing eBay and Etsy and Amazon clogged to the brim with this cheap mass-produced Chinese factory crap for BDSM. I love it when people in the BDSM community not only get to make their own products, but get the opportunity to share that with other people. And what I'm going to be reviewing today I think is a little bit special, so I'm excited to share that with you guys, and hopefully you find it interesting and helpful. Now, if you do watch this video and you're like, I don't know if handcuffs are really for me, but I like their design aesthetic, they do make a lot of other products as well. It's not just handcuff covers. They make other types of restraints. They make leashes. They make collars. They even make some shock devices. So even if electroplay is your thing, you're totally not even into bondage, they might have something interesting for you. So if you are interested, be sure to check out their Etsy and their website. Links to that will be down below. So the handcuff covers I was sent, I actually got two different varieties to test out for you guys. I'm going to be talking about this one first because it's a little bit simpler and it's also the cheaper option. So as you can see here, basically really what this is it's like a rolled up piece of leather. It's not really anything super special or fancy. There's not really any extra padding in here to speak of. It's just a high quality squishy leather. You can see there how much I'm able to do by just squishing it down. That's designed to go over the handcuff itself. Now, what it looks like when it's actually on a handcuff is like this. It's basically a loop that goes around most of the handcuff. There's going to be a little portion there that's not covering metal, so if you do have a metal allergy, this might not be the best option for you, but it does a pretty good job of actually reducing some of the negative impacts of handcuffs, because if you guys are familiar at all with handcuffs, you realize that they are not always the most comfortable thing in the world. They're not meant to be sustainable or worn for long periods of time. And that is really what all of this is meant to do, is it's meant to make wearing handcuffs more sustainable, more comfortable for long-term use. Because if you have a handcuff fetish, you might want to wear them for longer than 5 minutes at a time. And what I find with this design in particular is that it is simple, but it's effective. It doesn't reduce the feeling of wearing the handcuff. I still feel like I'm wearing a handcuff when I'm in this. It's not like I suddenly have turned this into any other form of leather restraint. So the sensation of the handcuff is still present, but it's more comfortable. It digs into the skin less. It reduces any sort of roughness in the metal of the handcuff from kind of abrading into the skin if you are worried about things like bruises, or if you're even using lower quality handcuffs, this might be able to help with that. It is not the thickest padding in the world, so it's not like you can suddenly wear handcuffs for hours and hours at a time in these, but it does help a little bit. And for like $15, like how could you not want this? It's like so simple and it goes such a long ways into actually making them a lot more comfortable to wear. Something as well with this that I haven't mentioned yet is, for me, I really hate cold. I hate it. It's like a hard limit for me. I hate wearing anything that's cold, and oftentimes leather handcuffs can be quite cold. And with this, when this handcuff cover is on, that really helps me feel more comfortable in these handcuffs. It's less of a struggle. It just has a little bit of a different, like, even emotional feeling to the scene when these are on versus when these are off. So if you're somebody who's been looking at handcuffs and you've been looking at, like, I don't know, fuzzy handcuffs, for example, this is like an upgraded version of that that's like actually effective. Now, the one downside to this that I really want to make sure people are aware of is that this is kind of a pain in the butt to put on. Like, it's not a simple process. So, like, let me just show you guys real quick if I'm just going to, like, open these, like, on this side, right? Basically, you have to try and get this over this curve and, like, around and then still be able to close it. And that can actually be kind of difficult. Like, it's not a refined process. It's not anything that like looks aesthetically pleasing to do. You're just kind of like shoving it in there and like trying to get it on. And I thought about showing it on camera just so you guys could see, but like it takes a couple of minutes. It would be kind of boring to watch. It does work. It does get on eventually, but it does take a little bit of fighting. But that's why it's a little bit more of a discount item. That's why it's a little bit cheaper. It's not like the most elegant system in the world, but it is effective. Now, if you do want something that is a little bit more elegant, that has a different style to it, there is this second style of handcuff covers. So these are the handcuff covers. These are actually called handcuff wraps, and what these are is they look very similar to your standard leather wrist restraint. And basically what this is it's leather that has a Velcro attachment to it, so really easy to get on and off, that basically has an outline to it, like a little shelf almost, where you can put the handcuff through. So the idea of this is that you Velcro it on, and this is like very elegant because I'm doing it on myself, is you handcuff it on like so. It's not as tight as I would normally put it, but you handcuff it on like so, and then you would put the handcuff on top of it. And basically what that does is it creates a complete coverage around wherever you're going to be putting the cuff on that makes it a lot more sustainable and comfortable, even more so than the simple little cover right here. As you saw, it was really easy to put on. It's just some Velcro. If you can handle Velcro, you can probably handle putting on this wrist restraint. And this is what it actually looks like when it is on with a handcuff attached to it. Again, I can't really like show this because I can't really like handcuff myself into something while I'm like home alone and like filming a video. So hopefully this gives you a pretty good idea of what it looks like. As you can see, the handcuff just goes right over it, and then that top portion and the bottom sort of shelf prevent the handcuff from sliding off in either direction, so it is actually pretty secure. The Velcro does make it quite easy to put on and take off without a lot of fuss or muss. I can actually even use these on my ankles as well with ankle cuffs, which is pretty interesting. So if you are somebody who is like smaller framed like me, there is even some extra versatility there. And I believe as well they have an option to make these specifically tailored for use on the ankle rather than use on the wrists. What I found with these is they did reduce the sensation of wearing a handcuff a little bit more than the cuff covers did. So this feels a little bit more like a standard leather bondage restraint. However, because these are attached to handcuffs, you know, they're going to sound like handcuffs. They clink like handcuffs. The pressure distribution, because it is coming from around this specific point as opposed to around the whole cuff, is going to feel a little bit more concentrated, but these made it really sustainable, really comfortable. If you are somebody who wants to be able to wear handcuffs for a long period of time, this is the ticket right there. And these retail for $35. The cuff covers were $15. So if you have a pair of handcuffs that you already enjoy, if you are interested in trying other types of restraint with them, if you want to make them more comfortable, I think these are a great thing to try out. The only thing I could really say about this is the leather is a little bit stiff. The Velcro, if you're putting it on yourself, although if you're doing self-restraint handcuffs are not the best idea. The Velcro can be a little bit finicky simply because there's not a lot of extra Velcro on this other side. There's a pretty wide strip coming in, but there's not a whole lot on the other side, which can make it kind of hard to get the exact perfect amount that you want. The only other thing I would really probably have to say about this, if there was anything to say, is I wish maybe they had something where maybe it came in like different width options. I do really like the look of this where it has sort of this stacked handcuff and leather cuff look. I think that's very unique. It's very aesthetically pleasing. But maybe if they had ones that would be like a little bit more narrow, or maybe ones that were even like bigger and chunkier to really give that like heavy bondage look, I think that would be a great addition. But like overall, for like $35, this makes handcuffs like a much more viable options for scenes. It's not nearly as finicky as the handcuff covers are, and I can definitely see myself using this in future scenes, in photo shoots, and a lot of other settings as well. So I'm really, really happy about these. So yeah, those are basically my thoughts about these handcuff covers. I think for the price, they are a really good deal if you want to experiment with handcuffs, but you want a little bit of variety for comfort's sake or for making them more sustainable. Again, I've mentioned that multiple times, just really to emphasize that, to make sure that everybody like knows that these do actually have a purpose. They do actually have a use. They're not just like for looking pretty, although they do certainly have a nice quality aesthetic to them as well, if that's something that you are into. I am overall quite happy with them. I think that, you know, for what they are certainly pretty good. If you don't have standard size handcuffs, I would maybe message the shop owner beforehand just to make sure that the standard size they make will work with your restraints, because every handcuff manufacturer is a little bit different. I tried these out both on Fury Tactical and on Smith & Wesson handcuffs, and they work just fine with that. But if you're not 100% sure that they're going to work for you, make sure you check that out. If you are somebody who has a little bit of smaller wrists like me, this actually made it so it was a lot easier to wear standard size handcuffs, which is a big bonus, especially if maybe you might be using this in a pick-up play situation. You can just like throw them in your bag, and if somebody like wants to bring out handcuffs, you can be like, okay, great, you know, here's this, and like, you know, it just makes it so you have a little bit more versatility, and makes it so, you know, things might even fit you a little bit better. And yeah, I think that's pretty much everything that I have to say about these handcuff covers. They are a very, very simple concept, so it's not like it's anything like big and crazy really to talk about in like super minute detail. They do the job well. If you get frustrated like fiddling with things, this is probably not the best option for you. If you get frustrated easily, go over to the wraps as opposed to these cuff covers, especially if you like something that's more aesthetic on top of that. If you don't mind fiddling with things though, and you like something that isn't going to reduce the handcuff sensation as much, I would probably go with the handcuff covers. And again, they're on a budget, they're a great deal, they're $15. That's probably like maybe a little bit more expensive than like your standard pair of handcuffs, but they're gonna make such a big difference to the experience. I think it's really worth just trying them out. Alright, so that is everything. I have rambled enough for today. Hopefully you found this video interesting and helpful. If you do have any other thoughts you want to share about these cuffs, if you do have any other questions, anything else, you can leave that down in the comment section below. Links to where to buy these from is all down in the description box. If you haven't already and you want to see more from me, please do subscribe. I make videos twice a week. And finally, if you really enjoyed this, if you want to support my channel, the best place to do that is over on Patreon. That is what allows this channel to keep going. And as well, it allows me to show you guys things that I can't show on YouTube. So like having myself in like handcuffs in a YouTube video, can't really exactly do that these days. So if you want access to things that are more like obviously BDSM, more like involved product reviews, if you want to see tutorials, all of that stuff is over on Patreon. If you haven't already, please do check it out. Link to that will be down below. And if you do already support me on there, thank you so much. It means the absolute world to me. And until I see you guys next time, I hope you have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your week. Bye-bye.